Hi, welcome back. I wanted to talk to you about sort of where I think things are in terms of our democracy. Right now, what is upholding our democracy are the federal courts, and particularly the federal courts at the district court level. That is the trial court, the lowest level, not the Court of Appeals or obviously the Supreme Court. And I wanted to give you a sense of just how much is going on because we're not seeing the pushback happening in Congress. So the only pushback that this administration is getting is from the district courts deciding on whether what the administration is trying to do is legal or illegal, either because of statutory violations or constitutional violations. Here's just a quick rundown of the things that the administration has tried to do where the courts have said, in a word, no way. So I'm going to start with most recently, just today, a matter of fact, within the last hour, a federal court in San Francisco has held that the firing of probationary employees, which should be the easiest category for the administration to fire people, is illegal. The theory there was that it was being done by the Office of Management and Budget, and they have no authority whatsoever. One thing that's really noticeable is that the administration was asked by the district court to come with a witness, the head of OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, to explain his authority and what he did and what he didn't do, and he refused. And yet he had put it in an affidavit but was unwilling to be cross-examined. And so the district court was entitled to ignore that. Upshot, all of those firings of probationary employees across multiple agencies was not just put on hold, but the government was told to make sure that they are not fired and if they have been, to be rehired. Second, the actions in firing people at the NLRB and other agencies and by district judges in D.C. has also been rejected. The proposal to end birthright citizenship, which is something that we all thought was guaranteed by the 14th Amendment, has had multiple preliminary injunctions against it by multiple judges, and not just by so-called Democratic or Obama or Biden judges, but by judges who are appointed by Republicans, saying this is unconstitutional. The effort to remove the Columbia student who was arrested this past Sunday, that is on hold. We don't know the ultimate resolution of that. It's pending now, right now in the Southern District of New York, but there is an order saying that he cannot be removed from this country. The effort by the administration to dismiss the Eric Adams case, something that should be relatively easy if it was legit, to have already come and gone, that is now pending before the Southern District of New York. And my guess is that the government will not win in its effort to have that dismissed without prejudice. In other words, so that there is a choke chain on Mayor Adams that he could get re-indicted at any moment if he doesn't toe the line of what the administration wants. I suspect that the judge is going to dismiss it with prejudice, so there is no choke chain. But we'll see. But the main issue there is something that should be relatively easy. The district judge has said, I'm having none of this for now, and I'm going to have briefs on it. And right now it is, as we say in the law, sub judice. And also, hot off the presses, in D.C., a federal judge in the Perkins Coie case, which I'm really focused on. All of you may be thinking, what's a Perkins Coie? Perkins Coie is a law firm, a reputable law firm, but its clients have included, not exclusively, but have included Hillary Clinton and the DNC, the Democratic National Committee. And an executive order was issued by Donald Trump that the district judge said was clearly on its face retaliatory. It had all sorts of restrictions, not just the pulling of classification authority, the security clearances of members there, but basically saying we won't hire people who are at this, who have worked at this firm, that even people who use the firm could be subject to retaliation, and that no government contracts will be given to that firm. I mean, a whole series of things. And the judge yesterday held a hearing, enjoined, and the judge said it violates the First Amendment of the Constitution in excoriating language about what the what the administration was trying to do. One sign that this administration is basically going to just be doing whatever it can do, and if the courts are like a hockey goalie trying to make sure that these pucks don't get score when they violate the statutes or the constitutions of the United States, one sense that is their strategy, just like do whatever we want until we're stopped, is who is showing up to argue these on the part of the government. Here's an interesting note. The Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General and the senior leadership just do not traditionally go to court and argue cases themselves. They have a huge department unless they fire everyone, that ends up tens and tens of thousands of people. They do not go to court and argue things themselves. But who showed up to argue the Perkins Coie case yesterday in D.C.? The Chief of Staff to the Attorney General of the United States. Unheard of. Another example, in the Mayor Eric Adams case, only 2 people signed the government brief. Just 2. Were they career prosecutors? Nope. Line prosecutors? Trial-level prosecutors? Nope. Lex-level supervisors? Nope. I'm bearing the lead. Who were the 2 people? The Deputy Attorney General of the United States and the Principal Deputy Attorney General of the United States. So it's sort of the number 2 and the number 3 in the Department of Justice. They were the only 2 people who signed it and showed up in court for this. And you have to ask yourself why. One argument, which I think there's a lot of reason to think is true, is that career people are repeatedly saying, no. We know in the Mayor Eric Adams case that all sorts of people resigned rather than put their name on and support what the government is doing there. People in New York did that. People in D.C. did that. They resigned rather than follow something they thought was not legal. And so the second argument is that the senior leadership of the Trump administration at the Department of Justice simply don't trust career people to handle these matters. And it could be that it's a combination of both of these, that they don't trust them to handle it, and that they also can't find career people. We know the anecdotal evidence that the Principal Deputy Attorney General, Emil Bove, was sort of desperately looking for somebody in the Southern District of New York and in the public integrity section in Washington to sign this, so much so that he sort of had to put people in a room and say, like, find somebody to do this. And the sort of Damocles was, if you don't cough up one person, the rest will be fired. Note, the department has nevertheless gone ahead and fired a series of career people, not just people who worked on the Jack Smith special counsel investigation, but the public integrity section, all reports are that it's basically been decimated, which is itself interesting, because why would you not want to prosecute public corruption? Think about that one. So here's a key thing to be focused on. Right now, our democracy is really being held together by the litigants, the plaintiffs who are bringing these cases. And you can, as I've said repeatedly, if you want to know more about these, if you want to follow any of them in more detail, you can go to Just Security, their website, and there's a litigation tracker, and it's all listed there by different groupings. So, for instance, all of the cases involving birthright citizenship are there. So those plaintiffs' counsel deserve a lot of credit, and the district judges, who so far are really making sure that we still, as I'm taping this, we still have a rule of law in this country. The thing to keep an eye on is not the administration. They're going to keep on, like hockey players, keep on shooting pucks, hoping that something gets missed or they have a bad goalie. or partisan gully. They're going to keep doing that, but ultimately we're going to see where it goes when these cases bubble up to the Court of Appeals and then ultimately to the Supreme Court. As I've said, once it gets to the Supreme Court, all eyes are going to be on the two justices who are potential swing votes, and that is Amy Coney Barrett, who I think is really someone really to keep an eye out on, but that she would only, if she joined the other three so-called liberal justices, the four women would just be four. And as Justice O'Connor used to say, what is it like being on the Supreme Court? Five. It's all about five. And the fifth vote to sort of prevent what's going on would come from the Chief Justice. So obviously there's a lot there. There's a lot more to unpack. It depends on the facts in any particular case, as well as the law and their views of sort of the scope of executive power. But that's where a lot of what I'm talking about is going to end up. And the main action right now is in the courts, because we've seen a complete abdication from members of Congress in terms of checks and balances when one branch of government doesn't do what the founders had expected, which was that they would sort of zealously guard their own prerogatives. And you basically have one part of government being a lapdog to the executive. So that is why you're seeing everything that's going on being the courts. Finally, for people listening, as I've said repeatedly, and I've done some posts on this, there's stuff that we can all do and make our voices heard because we're citizens, and the power for all of these people comes from us. So if you want to know more about that, I'm not going to repeat it here, but you should definitely go to the sort of what can I do post for more ideas, and stay tuned for much more. Thanks for listening. So if you want more of Andrew Weissmann, you can subscribe for free or as a paid member to my Substack, where I'm definitely the most active, and there's a link to it over here. You can also obviously continue subscribing to my YouTube channel or just watching it, and there's a link over here. And if you want to know more about what you can do, there is a post that is here that you can click on, where I discuss various ideas I have for how anyone can get involved. Also, you can always catch me on MSNBC, where I'm a legal analyst, and I talk almost daily with the wonderful hosts and anchors there. So thanks so much for listening. Hope to see you again. Take care.